Oh, yeah. Good morning. San Sabah Songbird wants to roll. Okay, we'll roll. We'll roll. Harrison, Idaho in the house. Erie, Pennsylvania. Erie, that's far from Philly. Hey, everybody, welcome to Vince on a Thursday. It's so great to have you with us. As always, the best audience anywhere. A big show coming up for you today. The President of the United States with one of those gigantic televised cabinet meetings yesterday. We'll review some of the highlights from another great information session from the President. Also, I just found out this morning as we're getting the show started, apparently I am now the head of marketing for the Talafrico campaign. How did that happen? We'll explore the latest developments. I'm not even getting paid. That's supposed to be a $100 million race. Where's my piece of the action? We'll talk about that coming up. And then we've got Jill Biden saying that she thinks that Joe might have had a stroke on that debate stage with Donald Trump. She says it's the only time something like that has ever happened. Well, she's obviously lying. We'll explore that and so much more all ahead on this edition of Vince. It's always great to have you with us. I want to thank the great sponsors who make this show possible each day. Brickhouse Nutrition is among them. What a great, enduring sponsor of our program. You know, everybody likes, talking about those weight loss injections. They're all the craze. But here's the thing. Those weight loss injections, fundamentally, they work by helping to lower your blood sugar and reduce your appetite. But what if you want to lose that weight and you don't want to do weekly injections? Especially when you hear about some of those side effects. This is why the doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition created an amazing weight loss supplement called Lean, and the results are amazing. The studied ingredients in Lean have been shown to help lower your blood sugar, help you burn fat by converting it into energy, and help you curb your appetite and your cravings so you're less hungry. Listen, Lean by Brickhouse Nutrition is not for the casual dieters, for serious people. It's for frustrated dieters with 10 or more pounds to lose. So if that's you, let's get you started. 20% off. Free rush shipping. Visit takelean.com. Enter Vince for your discount. That's promo code Vince. Takelean.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and it's not a substitute or alternative for care from a healthcare provider. Boom. Yeah, we got some weird news this morning. First of all, I had a great. Last night was a long night. I had to send in my notes really early to Josh because friends of ours. I won't get into all the details because it's not really my story to share too much. But some friends of ours got married last night. Yes, on a Wednesday night. Complicated business, but there was a good reason why they had to get married on a Wednesday night. And this was kind of a thrown together wedding, not a shotgun wedding, but a thrown together wedding, given the circumstances. And a great couple, great couple. And so we went to their wedding last night, and because it was kind of thrown together, it was like, everybody was pitching in. We were all doing different things. Allison, my wife, she was getting flowers ready for the altar. We went out to the store, bought some flowers, put some flowers on the altar. And then we had a great party, a reception at a nearby Mexican restaurant right after the wedding. Everyone heads over to the Mexican restaurant. And we put together kind of last second a nice little gift of a mariachi band for them because they had the dinner taken care of, but they didn't have any entertainment. So we got a mariachi band for them. And so this is what that looked like last night. And it was a lot of fun. How fun is that? These guys are so good. Isn't that great? Anyway, it was just such a good time. So we were consumed last night with merriment. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, we had a blast. It was nobody was Mexican, by the way. I don't think anybody was Mexican. I was teasing the groom. I was like, I'm glad to see you're celebrating your culture. That's the way to handle this. But everybody loves Mexican food and fun mariachi band music. So it was a blast. A good time was had by all. So that's what we were doing last night. And then this morning, as I'm waking up, recovering from my tequila hangover, I'm looking at my news this morning, and I'm going, hold on a second. The Talarico campaign, James Talarico, I rarely use his actual name, is selling merchandise with my slogan on it. What just happened? Wait, does that come again? Yeah, here's what's happening this morning. James Talafrico is selling merchandise with our slogan on it. Check this out. James Talafrico. Talarico for Texas is the website. They have t-shirts now, guys, that say, I'm a Talafrico. A white one, a black one. Uh-huh. This is, so you see what's happening. We now have entered the general election phase. This is expected to be perhaps the most expensive Senate race in American history. Hundreds of millions of dollars expected to be poured into this race. And the communist campaign of James Talafrico is already stealing intellectual property in order to power the campaign. And the funny thing is, somebody inside of that campaign thought, this is a huge liability for us. They correctly identified that it's a massive liability, that everybody's calling this dude Talafrico now. And they said, what if we own it? Some harebrained campaign consultant said, what if we try and own it? What if we make it ours? I'm a Talafrico. Yes, please.
God
please go with this.
Is non-binary.
Just put this on every single blue-haired wayfish moron in Texas who thinks that they're going to support this campaign. Just please do this. This is great. You know what we need to do? We need to come up with other t-shirt slogans to help power the campaign. Now that I'm the head of marketing for the Talafrico campaign, we've got to come up with some other slogans. Like that's right. Yeah, God is non-binary. Go ahead, slap God is non-binary onto a t-shirt and then run
God
around Texas and see what Texans think. Yeah, that's right. What was that again? Can I hear that one more time?
God is non-binary.
Yeah, that's Talafrico. Put that on a t-shirt. See how that goes over. God is LGBTQIA+. I think people will love that. What about I love transing children? Remember that clip? You have that clip, Josh? We played that clip for you yesterday, where he was asked, what is it that you love? What do you love? Other than your family and your friends, what's the one thing you really love, Talafrico? And Talafrico said, love transing kids. There's nothing more that I love than transing the children. It's pretty sick. We have that, Josh? Josh is looking for it. I can feel it. I can feel it from a distance. Josh and I are many states away from each other, but I can sense that he's rushing to grab this clip. He says, give me a sec. Yeah, no, Talafrico loves transing the children. Talafrico says that abortion is, what is it that he said? Oh, the Bible mandates abortion. He goes, the Bible's quiet on the question of abortion. It's not quiet at all. The Bible straight up says, thou shalt not kill. The Bible says that God knew you before he formed you in the womb. The Bible's very, very clear on this subject. And Talafrico, of course, is using some sort of, demonic manipulation of scripture to try and convince everybody that killing children is actually what God wants. He said that because of his faith, can you believe this crap? Because of his faith, he's arrived at the conclusion that aborting children is the best way to be a Christian. He's disgusting.
Something that you love that's not family or friends.
I love, I'm just saying this because it's on my mind, the trans children who showed up yesterday at the state capitol to advocate for their humanity. They shouldn't have to, but it was an inspiration to watch.
I love abusing children. Can we get a t-shirt that says that? I love child abuse, and put 2 little stars on the sides of the t-shirt. Look at the way they built this thing. I'm a Talafrico. And then they have nipple stars. Look. Right there. They put nipple stars right on. Right on the t-shirt. Just right. Yeah, let's replace that with I love child abuse. And then your 2 nipple stars. And then sell the t-shirt for $36 on the James Talafrico store. This is, what a great campaign. They're crushing it. This is, and by crushing it, I mean crushing their chances of winning. This is fantastic. My entire personality is hating Trump. Write that. 2 nipple stars. T-shirt. Boom. I just come to me. Talafrico. I'll generate all your t-shirt ideas. And then dumb lefties are going to burn money on your campaign, and then your dumb campaign's going to burn money in a losing effort. And it's great for everybody. This is wonderful. I'm a Talafrico. Man.
Jesus never talks about abortion. The Bible is silent on abortion. And when that happens with a social issue as important as abortion, we Christians have to take Scripture as a whole, and we've got to try to make some kind of ethical determination.
God didn't finish the Bible, so I had to do it. James Talafrico.
God,
these T-shirts
is non-binary.
These T-shirts are gonna crush. I can't believe I'm coming up with Talafrico merch. I didn't anticipate when this week started. I didn't think I'm gonna be the head of marketing for the Talafrico campaign, but here we are. You know, you never know. God does work in mysterious ways, and suddenly now I'm in charge of James Talafrico's T-shirts. Anyway, so in case you're wondering how my day is going, it started with it ended last night with a great mariachi band, and then it started with James Talafrico merchandise announcements this morning. So in case you were wondering, man, Ken Paxton, brother. Say again there, Josh? Am I the campaign manager now? I thought I was just the marketing manager. I mean, I could be. Whatever. Yeah, if you need me to help destroy James Talafrico's campaign, I can do it. I do actually have can I pitch an idea for an ad? Is this okay that I say this out loud? Hopefully this doesn't foreclose on them running the ad. Chat, do you want to hear an ad idea from me? This is for Ken Paxton. I've got an idea for a political ad. If you want to hear it, I'll share it. Otherwise, I'll keep it to myself. So I'll wait to see what the chat says. Let's see. Okay, sure. Main pro spouse wants to hear the idea. Okay, here's the idea. Ready? I got 2 yeses. I'll go with, so I'll tell you. Here's the concept. The campaign ad is welcome to the Talafreak show. Josh, tell me if you like this idea, because you're the one I can hear. Welcome to the Talafreak show. And it depicts James Talafrico as like the master of ceremonies with kind of a demented, you don't have to do much AI on his face, he already looks demented, but kind of a demented, sort of creepy, leering look on his face, big, exaggerated smile, welcoming people into the Talafreak show. And then through each door, there's like animated doors that open up. Through each animated door is another one of these whack job clips that we keep sharing with you of James Talafrico acting like a total menace. Just saying stuff like, oh yeah, abortion's great. God loves it. God didn't finish the Bible, so we have to finish it by telling everybody to do abortions. You know, or stuff like God is non-binary. Or the thing I love the most is trans children. Just welcome to the Talafreak show and just go door by door by door and release it in 2 languages. Do it both in English, and then for the many Spanish-speaking American citizens who do live in Texas and vote, release it en Espanol as well. Just produce welcome to the Talafreak show. Nice spot. You can do it at varying lengths, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. You can do a web version that's 2 minutes and 30 seconds, whatever you want to do. Welcome to the Talafreak show. You think that would work? I think it would work. This is... Yeah, okay. The chat's saying I'm nailing this marketing job. Yeah, I feel like it. You know, now as the marketing manager, I feel like in order to prove myself on the first day, the first official day as the Talafrico campaign marketing manager, I've got to really come with the goods. Prove that I'm worth the $0 that they're paying me. Don't worry. I'll tell you what, my salary will be your well-deserved defeat. I'll take my earnings in you being destroyed by Ken Paxton and the voters of Texas this year. That's how I'll take it. I think it'd be good. Welcome to the Talafreak show. So we'll keep our eyes on it. But Ken Paxton, free idea for you. See, I'm working for both campaigns. Isn't that great? I get to do marketing for both campaigns. I can't even believe how much influence I have in Texas right now. It's hilarious. No, I love Texas. You guys are really great, and we're on actually on a bunch of great radio stations in Texas on the big national radio show each day. If you're in Texas, I'd really appreciate if you get a chance to look us up. Because we're on in some great stations throughout the state there. TheVinceShow.com to get your local radio listings. But trust me, we're staying engaged in this campaign because the last guy who can come to the United States Senate is the guy that I'm serving as marketing manager apparently for, James Talafrico. We got to stop him. We've got to stop him. All right, we've got a bunch of other things going on other than my career announcements today. We have the overnight, we got more nonsense out of Iran. I want to remind you of something that I started the week telling you, which is that every time you see news about an emerging deal with Iran, or Iran is acting up again, or Iran's claims about the deal or this, anytime it's belligerence, like straight up belligerence, just where there's a claim made by an Iranian state media source, an Iranian official, that the only way we'll have this deal is if we have a nuclear weapon. That's the only way we'll sign on to a deal. That is coming from the IRGC. That is coming from the most extreme elements in Iran. And it is not necessarily coming from the people who are negotiating directly with the Trump administration. Now, that doesn't change the fact that the Trump administration and President Trump himself is going to consistently warn Iran to start behaving itself, or else things are going to get even worse for them. That doesn't change that. But you should understand that in the media, especially in the American news media, when they tell you these stories like, well, Iran says that it won't agree to anything unless they get to keep nukes, oftentimes that is a manipulation by extremist forces that are inside of the country that are not actually at the negotiating table with President Trump's team. Okay, so that's something really clear to understand. Another piece is when you're watching them try and drop mines in the strait or sending drones out to try and attack. Again, that's the extremist elements. And yes, they have military power. We're talking the IRGC. To the extent that they still have any military at all, they have these small but very disruptive weapons. And we know from our experience in war, when we send our guys over to Afghanistan, to Iraq, you saw what happened. That terrorists, determined terrorists with small arms fire and makeshift bombs, IEDs, can wreak a lot of havoc for relatively low cost against the American military with these expensive, professional, and incredible weapon systems. It's true. It's just true. It's just the nature of warfare. And so as long as you have a determined enemy that has, like even small resources to cause havoc, they will, which is what you see the IRGC continuing to do. Overnight, last night, the IRGC, according to CENTCOM, fired a bunch of missiles in the direction of Kuwait. It was 10:17 p.m. Eastern time last night, according to this CENTCOM message. And you're seeing some of the news on this morning. Take a look here. 10:17 p.m. Eastern, Iran launched a ballistic missile towards Kuwait. It was successfully intercepted by Kuwaiti forces. This egregious ceasefire violation by the Iranian regime occurred hours after Iranian forces launched 5 one-way attack drones that posed a clear threat in and near the Strait of Hormuz. All drones were successfully intercepted by U.S. forces, which also prevented a 6th drone launch from an Iranian ground control site in Bandar Abbas. U.S. Central Command and regional partners remain vigilant and measured as we continue to defend our forces and interests from unjustified Iranian aggression. Vigilant and measured. So you see what's happening? This final statement is basically, look, we're just defending our assets and our allies' assets in the region. And you shouldn't. We're not the ones violating the ceasefire here. We're firing military weaponry, yes, to take out attackers. These are defensive strikes that we are making, which is another way of saying the president really, really wants to make this deal, despite the belligerence of some of the elements of Iran. But at some point, President Trump's patience runs out. And he's demonstrating, am I wrong? He's demonstrating an immense amount of patience. In some cases, I know there are people, including within our chat, who are frustrated by how much patience President Trump is showing. But we did elect this guy to run the show, to come up with a deal that works really well and destroys any threat of a nuclear Iran. That's the end goal here. But again, he's showing patience. And yesterday, we got a couple of news developments on Iran that the White House had to confront directly. And this goes back to the point I just said a moment ago, which is that there were claims early in the day yesterday that the Iranians were insisting that any deal, that the proposal that they're negotiating with the United States right now is that they get to control the Strait of Hormuz, that the Iranians get to control ship traffic through the strait, meaning imposing tolls and taking money from anybody who tries to traverse these international waters. Now, that is not true. That is not a part of this negotiation. And we know that because the White House has told us that was a lie. That was Iranian state media, no doubt IRGC motivated propaganda designed to upend the deal. That's what it's designed to do. Here is some of the reporting yesterday. Cut to watch. Fox's Jackie Heinrich reported on this, and she does say to take it with a massive grain of salt because it came from Iranian state media. Here's what Jackie said. Watch.
Iran's state TV is putting out what it claims is a draft of the initial framework with the U.S. Now, there are a number of points in here that appear to be very out of step with a lot of the U.S. red lines. So take this information with a very large grain of salt. But Iran is claiming that the memorandum of understanding would have the U.S. withdraw forces and lift the naval blockade in exchange for Iran restoring commercial traffic through the Strait of Hormuz within a month, with all ship traffic managed by Iran. They further claim if a deal is reached, it would become binding with a UN Security Council resolution. We have heard no updates from the U.S. side, but the White House has repeatedly pushed back on premature reports and inaccurate reports about what these discussions entail. This is new from Iran today, so likely we'll hear some response from the White House. But today the president is set to meet with his cabinet to discuss all of this after scrapping plans to convene at Camp David.
Okay, so they shared what the Iranian state media was saying, but hadn't yet heard from the White House. Well, within seconds, the White House put out a statement yesterday saying this report from Iranian-controlled media is not true. And the memorandum of understanding that they released is a complete fabrication. Nobody should believe what Iranian state media is putting out. Facts matter. Well, they sure do. And the president himself weighed in on this. I've got that for you in just a moment. We've got a lot to discuss all ahead on this edition of Vince, now featuring the marketing manager for the James Talafrico campaign. Hey, let me tell you about the great Bon Charge operation. We love Bon Charge here in the Colonnese household, and certainly with the whole team associated with Bongino Inc. This is like an amazing company with amazing products. We've got the infrared sauna blanket and the red light face mask here in our house, and we love them. Can't recommend them enough. And I started using that sauna blanket because, first of all, it's what a nice treat to have a sauna in my house. It's a blanket. Just wrap myself up. It helps with muscle recovery, detoxification. It's got this great infrared heat, and it just is great. It creates a real difference in how I relax and rejuvenate and how I feel afterward. Now, Allison uses the red light face mask. By now, you probably know about all the benefits of red light therapy. It really works, and she finds that it is very, very good. It improves your skin's texture, reduces inflammation. She's seeing fantastic results. It's like having a mini spa treatment right inside the house. So if you'd like to try these products out, you're in luck. You can head to boncharge.com, BON-charge.com. Use the code VINCE at checkout, get 15% off. Both of these products have made a huge impact on us and our wellness. I think you'll love them too. Use the code VINCE at boncharge.com, save 15%. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Thank you, Bon Charge, good sponsor of our program. Okay, so the president yesterday does another one of these great cabinet meetings. I'm so glad that they televised these things. He gets all these cabinet officials in there, and it's just a master class in kind of, well, first of all, running a meeting and kind of a great demonstration of all of the elements of the executive branch and what they're up to and how they're all working in their own way for the benefit of the American people. Each of their issue sets, they're very focused on. They bring statistics. You have Scott Bessent talking about the drilled down economic numbers and oil prices. It's actually wonderful. I love watching these things. And when it came to Iran, which was obviously a dominant theme at yesterday's cabinet meeting, the president instantly knocked down this idea that Iran would in any way be in control of the Strait of Hormuz. Here's the president yesterday saying, no, that's just IRGC propaganda. Iran's not going to control the Strait. Nobody's going to control the Strait. We are going to make sure that ships can traverse those international waterways freely. Here's the president.
Iran wants control of the Strait of Hormuz. Would you accept a short-term deal that allows Iran and Oman to control the Strait? And would they have to open it immediately, or would you be open to that happening over a period of time?
No, the Strait's going to be open to everybody.
And who would control
it's
it?
International waters. Nobody's going to control it. We're going to watch over it. We'll watch over it, but nobody's going to control it. That's part of the negotiation that we have. They would like to control it. Nobody's going to control it. It's international waters, and Oman will behave just like everybody else, so we'll have to blow them up. They understand that. They'll be fine. Oman catching some strays from the president. Yeah, Oman's going to have to behave too. You know, you look at a map of the Strait of Hormuz, of course, what they're talking about. Iran and Oman on either side of the strait. And the president says, everybody's got to behave. You dare touch that ship traffic, we're going to blow you up, just so you know. Not to, just a little warning from the president. You know, and what they want to do is kind of old school. They're trying to charge like a mob fee, you know, just to do business in the region. Hey, you want to do business right here? Pay up. How about no? How about no? And in fact, if you interfere with international business, the international waterway, we'll blow you up. That's your option. And we've got bigger guns. So don't screw with the ships. We got to get the world economy moving freely. And this is good for Iran, too, in the long run. I keep saying this. It's like, can they get it through their thick terrorist skulls that it will be good for the people of Iran, that it will be good for that country, that economic, just absolute economic thriving awaits you if you stop acting like lunatics and jihadists? Seriously. It'd be great. It'd be great for the Persian people. But all you got to do is forego the nuclear ambitions and get the hell out of the Strait of Hormuz. Stop molesting the strait. And everything will be good. But they can't stop. They can't stop. They're like Democrats. They never stop. And the president backing them into a corner until they do. So we'll see. He's trying to get a deal here. He thinks he can. Really, it would be one of the all-time deals of all time. Now, Scott Bessent yesterday, as I mentioned, was really getting into the data because domestically, the big thing that we're watching is the cost of gas, the cost of oil. Now, the good news is this week, even the prospect of a deal has lowered oil futures pretty dramatically. I didn't look this morning, but we saw numbers dip down to around $88 a barrel or so. That's substantially down from the well over $100 a barrel it was at earlier in the war. And Scott Bessent says that once we get signatures on this MOU, this Memorandum of Understanding, oil prices are set to plummet to levels that go down even beneath where we were pre-conflict, pre-war. Watch, here's Scott Bessent yesterday.
On the economy, two words: resilience and prosperity. The continued resilience of the economy speaks for itself, even during the Iran conflict, and it speaks to the strength of your leadership. Pro-growth policies are creating conditions for American families and businesses to prosper. We're entering the second half of our 250th anniversary year with renewed optimism and momentum. It has never been a better time to be an American, and as you said earlier, we have a record number of Americans working. The economy that you are building is not only strong, but secure and resilient and better positioned to compete globally. Real GDP has risen 2.7% over the past 4 quarters, something that many economists said couldn't be done. In the first quarter of 2026, despite the Iran conflict, GDP grew at a 2% annual rate. The Atlanta Fed GDP now is predicting 4.3% for this quarter. In terms of prices, I believe the prices are transitory. Oil will be lower than pre-conflict levels when this ends. Natural gas is already down, as you mentioned. Drug and pharmaceutical prices, they are plummeting, and rent is down. We are more resilient to energy price fluctuations due to your energy dominance agenda, to regulatory efforts, and we have never sold so much energy to the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's so really good reports there from Scott Bessent. He says that oil prices are set to come down dramatically with President Trump resolving this conflict in Iran, which is one of the many reasons we're rooting for him to do this. Get rid of that nuclear threat and get those oil prices down. You get oil prices down, what ensues, of course, is just a massive benefit to the economy and huge tailwinds going into the midterms. Now, of course, there's going to be some longer tails on some of the price drops. It'll take a little bit longer for some of those refined products and fertilizers, just the way those markets work. But in the short term, you'll see some real immediate impact at the pump, and that'll go a long way towards helping the American economy. So good news there from the Treasury Secretary. Also, of course, at the table, you had the Vice President of the United States. He's busy with two massive projects. One of them is negotiating with the Iranians. The other one is tackling fraud in the United States of America. And these guys have had such immense success doing it lately that they were able to give a great update yesterday with the president. And in fact, the president himself teased that something very big is happening at the Justice Department right now with respect to fraudsters. And he said, you haven't seen anything yet. The president and his revelations, what he revealed yesterday, in just a moment on this edition of Vince. I want to thank Blackout Coffee for powering me up each day and powering this show. Blackout Coffee, one of the reasons we can keep the show free. It's really great. We love Blackout here. It's just the best. They have a strong, smooth, well-crafted cup of coffee. And one of the key things I love about Blackout is it's a small American company. They take pride in what they do. It shows in every single bag of coffee. And here's what I recommend to you. Don't just buy a single bag of Blackout coffee. It's the way to handle this is to go with the coffee club. They have a coffee club. And so this is how you should do it. Your coffee will show up automatically. You save money. You get free shipping. And you don't even have to think about it. It just becomes a part of your routine. And your morning cup of coffee is your routine. It's great. Go with Blackout and the coffee club. On top of that, you'll start earning rewards, bonus credit after a few deliveries. They're also doing some great limited releases right now for the 250th anniversary of the United States because it turns out they love the country. So it's a perfect time to check them out. Go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Use the code Vince for 20% off your first order. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Join the coffee club today. Make it part of your daily routine. And then when you end your day and you're thinking, okay, I need a good night's sleep. You know how you're going to get it? With a Helix mattress. Yeah, if you've been searching, have you been on a quest for a great night's sleep? A Helix mattress is an essential part of that quest. It is so good. Allison and I love our Helix mattress. I think practically everybody on our team has a Helix mattress. Everybody loves, they sleep so well. I can tell they're energetic. They're all powered up each morning because of their great Helix mattresses. And that really is the key. If you want your health to be locked in, you got to get a great night's sleep. And do that with a Helix mattress. So we've got the Midnight Lux. We took the sleep quiz. We ended up with the Midnight Lux. We adore it. It's just great. But that might not be the right one for you. The good news is Helix can help you find the mattress you need with their great sleep quiz. Just go to helixsleep.com/Vince and take the quiz. And they've got 20 different mattress models available. And you will be matched to exactly how you sleep. There's no guesswork. There's no compromises. It's great. And the data demonstrates that Helix has done. They've done the research on this. The data demonstrates it really works. 82% of sleepers experience an increase in deep sleep. Doesn't that sound wonderful? You need deep sleep. Go to helixsleep.com/Vince. Get 27% off site-wide, exclusive for you. That's helixsleep.com/Vince, 27% off. And make sure to enter this show's name at checkout so they know I sent you. That's helixsleep.com/Vince. Thank you, Helix. Yes, Helix helps me sleep well at night. You know what also helps me sleep well at night? When fraudsters are facing justice in the United States of America. Finally, J.D. Vance and the team are taking down fraudsters all across the country. I love it. Like every week we get a new press conference from them on some other scumbags that they've arrested. That's really great. And here is J.D. Vance yesterday saying that what happens is he often has to go to the president of the United States and I'll ask a question, be like, Mr. President, I need your authorization to do, and the president will cut him off and say, is this for fraud force? Watch.
First of all, thank you for your leadership, sir, and for making it possible. I often find in the fraud task force that there sometimes are barriers that we need to break down, agencies that need to coordinate, and I'll come to the president and say, Mr. President, I need your permission to do, they'll say, for what? For the fraud task force, and he'll cut me off and say, yes, go do it. So the fact that we have dedicated presidential leadership is really what's made this possible because it does require, we've got great people around the table, but sometimes these agencies don't know how to work together at the lower level, and that's one of the things we've had to turn on and force with the fraud task force.
Mr. President, I need to send SEAL Team 6 into, and he's like, for what is this? What is this for? For fraud force. All right, send them in. I don't care. Do whatever you need. Send in the SEALs. Take out the fraudsters. So the president just instantly, I love that the vice president of the United States doesn't have the authority to do some of this, so he has to go to the president. The president instantly signs off. No hesitation. Say no more. boom, gets it done. In case you're wondering how serious. There's lots of administrations who have pretended to take fraud seriously, and then they have some lower level schlub do a blue ribbon commission, and then they don't actually do anything about fraud. This is being handled by the president and the vice president of the United States. Not sure what else we could ask for. Obviously, we want to see prosecutions of the people who are behind all this fraud and have allowed it to happen. Like Tampon Tim Walz would be good. But I think the Justice Department knows that. They're all over that. They have a full-blown investigation into Tampon Tim and everybody else in Minnesota, all these other Democrats. We know that. And the president yesterday said, wait until you see what the Justice Department produces next. Now, this is unusual, too. Oftentimes, a lot of this stuff is kept under seal. You don't really hear even hints about what kind of prosecutions are coming. Here's the president yesterday, cut 5, saying, we do have some big stuff in the pipeline. Watch.
In 2 months, we've exposed tens of billions of dollars of defrauded taxpayer money, prosecuted numerous fraudsters, Todd, and stopped billions of suspicious payments, very suspicious. Oh, you haven't seen anything yet? What do you see? I'm getting reports from Todd, from JD. I've never seen anything like it. The kind of, just hundreds of billions of dollars was stolen. And no other administration would do what we're doing. Just let it go. Everybody was getting rich. And I think we have a chance to save Social Security without doing anything to it by just the numbers of fraudulent.
Hundreds of billions of dollars. In Washington speak, you know, and this is the way Washington does math, but they'll project over 10 years. Like, what does that cost over 10 years? Well, hundreds of billions of dollars a year means we're talking trillions of dollars each decade being stolen from American taxpayers. Could we use trillions back? Yes. The president's saying, you haven't seen anything yet. He's getting updates from, what was that again? Todd and JD. Who's Todd? Who the hell's this Todd character? Oh, that would be the Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche. Yeah, the Justice Department, they kind of do criminal investigations. So, you know. The left will probably react to that. Oh, I thought the Justice Department was supposed to be independent. Not of the executive branch, you morons. It's not independent. It's part of the executive branch. Read the Constitution. All right, there's the president yesterday. He also thanked the outgoing director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. We told you this past week, you know, Tulsi Gabbard is headed out. Her husband, quite unfortunately, has been diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. And she said, you know, the job, as you might imagine, sitting atop the intel community is all consuming in terms of her time. And so she is going to be stepping away from the job at the end of June. So she's given it another month. And that is so she can take care of her husband, which is where she should be. This is her duty as a wife, and she's going to fulfill it here by looking after her husband. She's a sweet woman. You can tell. And the president yesterday thanked her for her tireless work as the director of national intelligence. This is a cabinet level position, very important. And remember, she was a former Democrat, brought in, absolutely attacked by the left. Hillary Clinton treated the same way President Trump was, not to the same scale, but it was accused of being a Russian agent by Hillary and the gang. And Tulsi joined forces with President Trump, and he's very grateful to her. Watch his send-off for her yesterday.
I want to express our tremendous gratitude to our outgoing Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a terrific person, actually. Came up with some findings that were pretty good. And Tulsi's worked tirelessly to restore trust and focus on the intelligence and with the intelligence community. They all respected her. They listened to her. She gave us leads that were pretty much, people thought they were dead, and they weren't dead. They were right there, and she was able to expose a lot of things that we used at the FBI with Cash and with Todd and with JD and everybody else. It was amazing. She dramatically reformed the Office of Director of National Intelligence and cutting the staff by 40%, and she prevented countless terrorists and cartel members from entering the United States. She exposed mountains of evidence related to the Russia hoax, probably the greatest hoax in the history of our country. Although, when you look at the fraud coming out, there's a lot of them. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of them. But the Russia hoax, a great hoax, a very dangerous hoax to and revoked security clearances of officials involved, and she declassified numerous historic documents of special public interest, including related to the JFK and RFK assassinations, which everybody wanted to see. And we're now releasing a lot of things having to do with space. You know, it's people are very interested in it. It actually became the #1 topic. We're releasing a lot of information having to do with terrestrial things, and people are totally fascinated by it. It's amazing. I wasn't sure if they would enjoy it. It's literally trending #1. Can you believe it? So a lot of people out there are like it, but we're releasing all of that information. And Tulsi, we're praying for you and for your husband. Her husband's not feeling great, but he's going to feel great soon. You're going to get him better. And he's a wonderful guy. So just say hello and thank you for the great work you've done. We appreciate it.
Nice of the president to spend some time talking about Tulsi like that and thanking her for the great work she's done and rooting for that husband of hers. Really, really nice. But something stands out in addition to just his kindness. Something stands out to me in that assessment. You heard him talk about the role that Tulsi Gabbard has played in exposing the crimes that are being committed here domestically against the American people and the American voter. And that reminds me of the fact that you remember Tulsi Gabbard was present at the raid in Fulton County, Georgia, as the FBI showed up there and went in, grabbed all these documents related to the 2020 election. And the media made a massive deal out of this. They were very upset that the director of national intelligence would even be present. What is she doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they claim it's just a giant, like whack job conspiracy theory. But Tulsi Gabbard clearly is very interested in seeing our election systems cleaned up. And she's got unique access to the nation's intelligence. And yesterday, by some coincidence, there was a development that the news media are now panicking that the Justice Department is closing in on Georgia election fraudsters. Here is the panic that we saw yesterday at CNN as this was developing. It just happens on the same day that the president's given a send-off to Tulsi Gabbard, we get this report about what's going on in Georgia. Watch, CNN, Wolf Blitzer, they're upset. Check it out.
In Fulton County, Georgia, some poll workers and ballot counters from the 2020 presidential election could soon hear a knock on their doors. Federal prosecutors say when they have the names and the addresses of those election workers, investigators will try to talk to them. President Trump has long claimed without evidence that there was widespread voter fraud in Fulton County, and that contributed to his re-election loss to Joe Biden. Let's go live right now to CNN crime and justice correspondent Caitlin Polans, who's working the story for us. Caitlin, is the Justice Department going to get all these lists of election workers and their addresses?
Well, Wolf, that's going to be the big question in court. We're still waiting to see what a judge will do. What has happened here is that the Justice Department, they've made clear they want to reopen and ask questions again about what happened in the 2020 election, especially in Fulton County, Georgia. That's the county that includes Atlanta, that Joe Biden won by more than 2/3 of the more than 500,000 votes there. It was a real wash of an election for Biden there. But Trump really does want to continue to say that the 2020 election was rigged. And now the Justice Department, they're going after thousands of names and addresses of these 2020 election workers. At a hearing last week, that was where the judge was hearing about why the Justice Department actually may want these things. This election happened 6 years ago. That's out of the time frame where the Justice Department could bring voting-related federal criminal charges if they even would get to that point with a grand jury. And a prosecutor there, his name is Will McComb, he said, "We are not sure what charges can be brought." And then he told the judge, "We don't know what they will tell us as far as what happened or what improprieties may or may not have happened in the 2020 election, and whether that is a continuing
situation." All right, so here's
situation.
the thing. I just want to emphasize something about what you just saw. So CNN is upset about this. They're warning their audience that the Justice Department is on the move. And normally, a news organization would be very intrigued by a fact-finding mission. If your job was to find out what the truth is and then tell your audience about it, you'd be pretty encouraged that there was an effort to find out what the truth is. But instead, do you notice how Orwellian it is? It's like, they're leaving their viewer with the impression that something untoward is happening. This is out of control. This is totally tyrannical. How dare you ask any kind of questions about this? How dare you suss this out? And notice that the Justice Department is not claiming that they have specific charges they're bringing against people. They just want to talk. They just want to talk. You talk to me. That's what we're asking for. That's what the report is. What's the problem with that exactly? Why are you so worried about it? But have we ever had any indications before that Fulton County, Georgia is a corrupt Democrat-run place? Well, besides big fat Fannie Willis banging the help and trying to destroy Donald Trump's campaign during 2024, it's like it's so obvious that Fulton County, Georgia would be the place where we have massive amounts of Democrat corruption. They're papering up windows and preventing people from seeing things and burst pipes and all sorts of nonsense. Like, oh no, it was all fine. Okay, if it was all fine, let us look. No, you can't look. I'm sorry. What? Yeah, good for the Justice Department for looking into this. And even if, let's pretend for a moment that assessment, the legal assessment is true, that, the statute of limitations is run. Whatever crimes that were committed can't be prosecuted now. Okay, let's pretend for a moment that that's all true. It might be. I don't know. Why wouldn't we want an assessment of the corruption in the county so that we can prevent it from happening in any future election? Like a news organization would be interested in that question. A political operation would be very interested in making this story go away. You be the judge. That's anyway, I'm encouraged by it. I love it. Sometimes you see what happens is sometimes you're like, why is it that CNN has this story? Why didn't this come from just the news or some other outlet or whatever? The answer to that is oftentimes that you get libs, lefties, who are on the receiving end of Justice Department subpoenas, and they're trying to get out ahead of the story to frame it in the minds of the news consumer. So the Justice Department is handling the case responsibly. They're not leaking details of the way they're conducting the case because they're just doing their jobs. And meanwhile, the Democrats, the lefties who are on the receiving end of these court actions, these subpoenas, these requests from Justice Department attorneys, they will rush to the left-wing media to try and frame your understanding of the story before it fully emerges in public, which is why we've seen so much of John Brennan and James Comey on television in the last few weeks, ahead of expected charges in the grand conspiracy case down in South Florida. That's why that sequence of events plays out. That's why you see that. In case you're wondering how these things work. Yeah. No, our media really is something else, aren't they? Let me see. We've got some other big things. I'm trying to figure out what. Yeah. Okay. This one, it just amuses me, so I'm going to share it with you. The media are upset. Speaking of the left-wing media, they're upset that President Trump is improving the reflecting pool right now outside the Lincoln Memorial. And the way he's improving it, of course, is he's sealing it up, getting rid of the leaks, and they're applying a sealant with a dark blue color to the bottom of this epic reflecting pool, which is beautiful. People love going to the National Mall, seeing the reflecting pool, but they would prefer to have it working. They'd prefer to see a nice reflection of America's monuments in the reflecting pool. That's the point of this thing. And it hasn't really been functioning as intended for a while. President Trump, who is used to projects like this, saw this and goes, I'm going to go fix it. In fact, he went and visited it himself. He said the Secret Service gets driven a little crazy when he wants to go visit things like this, but he did. He went and visited it. He looks at it. He goes, that's a problem. We got to fix it. And so they're sealing it up, and they're using an American flag blue sealant for the bottom of this reflecting pool, which is going to look great. It's going to look wonderful. But the Washington Post was pretty convinced that President Trump was doing something scandalous here and wanted to write an entire article about what a moron he is for painting the bottom of this thing American flag blue. And when they went and finally found a Canadian pool expert, I swear to you, this is a real story. They talked to a guy whose name is Swimming Pool Steve. They talked to Swimming Pool Steve, and they determined that what the president is doing here is actually brilliant. They have to report to their audience, unfortunately, because the color that the president has chosen is going to result in much better reflections. My buddy Steve Guest making fun of these guys, but take a look at this. Look at this. Did Trump pick the right blue for the reflecting pool? This is a real headline in the Washington Post. We asked a pool guy. They said they needed to talk to a swimming pool expert. His name is Steve Goodale, who goes by Swimming Pool Steve online. He's Canadian, so he doesn't have a vested interest in the state of our reflecting pool. He has some good news, the Washington Post says. It's not really going to end up looking like a swimming pool, says Swimming Pool Steve. They literally got Scuba Steve to tell them that this is a great idea. A dark swimming pool liner actually makes the water's surface more mirror-like, he explains, which is why dark colors aren't used often in swimming pools. It's harder to see the bottom. Could American flag blue actually look, ellipsis, good? They ask. It's going to very likely be a more sharp and accurate reflection versus the original gray color, says Goodale. What you're going to see is a higher contrast to the light of the sky and the clouds. This is so obvious. I like that they had to consult their pool boy to find out that this is going to work really well. Yeah, it's actually going to look great. The reflections are going to be super clear. It's going to be amazing. Okay, what a great story. What, you really sent a report? You had a full-blown report on this subject? And not only did they do a report on the subject, they had an accompanying social media video. And the way that they put this video together, it just cracks me up. They did it with like really scandalous music to make it seem like what President Trump is doing is going to be super offensive. Watch this. Everything is a choice. Every single thing is a choice. Watch the way they did this video. Just listen to this if you're on the audio podcast. Watch. It's like driving and scandalous music. It was at that moment that President Trump chose to paint the bottom of the reflecting pool with a color that would destroy our sense of our own country. The evils of the Trump administration continued as he destroyed the hallowed grounds of the reflecting pool. It's like so ridiculous. He used a vile symbol of extremism called the American flag. Like, they could have chosen something, any of you work in media, have you ever put together like a video like this at all? There's an option. You could have chosen music that's like kind of uplifting, something kind of patriotic, something kind of fun and interesting. How fascinating, you know what I mean? Something upbeat, something that's cheerful. Instead, they chose like this like dark and sort of foreboding, like this is a very sinister behavior by President Trump to paint the freaking reflecting pool. Oh, every day they tell you that something my buddy Chris Plant says all the time. They're not on your side. They're not on your side. They had to go to a Canadian pool boy to find out that President Trump was doing a good job. Amazing. Just amazing. All right. Let me leave you with one more, at least one more crazy piece of news today. Dr. Jill Biden is once again lying her ass off about her knowledge of Joe's lack of mental ability to have been president of the United States. Nobody knew more clearly than the bad doctor that Joe Biden should not have been in the Oval Office, that President Otto Penn was in no condition to be called the leader of the free world. And the person who, of course, dragged him from event to event, like Weekend at Bernie's, was Jill Biden. So Jill is now doing interviews about Joe, and she was asked in a CBS interview this week about Joe's horrific performance against President Trump in the 2024 presidential debate. That fateful presidential debate that the Democrats intentionally scheduled early so they could use it as a pretext to get rid of him, to try and force Kamala Harris down the throats of the Democrat Party and then subsequently the American people. Now, thankfully, in the end, that didn't work, that scheme. But it was clearly a scheme. And here is Jill lying to CBS about it, saying that that moment where Joe couldn't put sentences together during that debate, it was, in her view, the only time she's ever seen Joe like this. Apparently, she doesn't own a television because we've all seen him like that in other stages. But here she is lying. Watch.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified. I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before
This is such a lie.
or since. Never.
Or since?
Yes. Or
You've
since.
never seen him like
Never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
She's a liar. She's such a liar. I thought he was having a stroke. It was just a one-time, conveniently timed, middle of debate stroke. Other than that, he's always been sharp as a tack. That guy, he's like, quoting Shakespeare plays in the morning. He's great. It's ridiculous. It's totally ridiculous. Also, you just remember her, but remember her right after the debate. So were you lying now or were you lying then? Because after the debate, this is what she sounded like. You remember this moment? This is Jill Biden.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
You did such a good job. You were amazing. She lied. So where were you lying? Were you lying then? Or were you lying now? Or were you lying on both occasions? Because it kind of seems like you're lying on both occasions. In fact, this claim that she's making that, I've never seen him like this. That was the only time ever. An Axios reporter by the name of Alex Thompson just got a response from a Biden official on that subject. And he again, an anonymous Biden official, but one former Biden official reacts to this clip with, quote, she's lying. She's lying. Now, that person's not on the record. They won't go that far. It is the Democrat Party after all. You can't be that forthcoming. But a former Biden official saying she's lying. Yeah, and we all know that. I don't need a former Biden official to tell me that, but in case you're wondering if they know too, they know too. They know too. They all knew. It was a massive cover-up. It was actually, you heard the president yesterday talking about some of the biggest scandals in American history, and he's talking about the Russia collusion hoax and the election rigging operations in the United States. One of the other big scandals, we got COVID. COVID's a huge scandal. And then we've got President AutoPen, one of the most horrific scandals in the history of our country, played out before our very eyes. And the people who were involved in the cover-up of that are still lying about it to this very day. Jill Biden, talk about a sinister force, is still lying about it. Oh, I've never seen him like that. You're a liar. And everybody in Biden world knows it too. And they should have the cojones to say it on the record. If they actually cared about their country, they would. Just tell the truth. Over on NBC, they covered this last night. Say again, Josh? Was that my voice reflecting back on me? It probably was. Over on NBC last night, Jorge Bonilla, who's with the Media Research Center, love this guy, great guy. He captured this from NBC last night that the NBC Nightly News was at least mildly skeptical of this claim by Jill. Watch their mild skepticism.
All right, Gabe, let's turn to another big headline and more insight into the consequential moments of the 2024 campaign. President Biden's disastrous debate performance there and new comments from former First Lady Jill Biden.
I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since. As I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
And Gabe, Democrats are still reckoning with that debate?
Yes, Tom, it was not even referenced in the recent DNC autopsy, and the issue of transparency is now threatening to loom over the midterms, particularly because her answer is so different from what we heard from top Democrats at the time.
It's different. It's very different. Nobody can really know what the truth is. It's sort of a he said, she said situation. So we'll just put it out there and let you figure it out. But even NBC, that's the most criticism you'll ever hear them offer for President AutoPen. Because, of course, NBC was in on it, too. NBC was running around with, it's a sheep fake, it's a sheep fake, every time somebody called out the fact that, hey, that guy's brain doesn't work. The emperor has no brains. It's a sheep fake, it's a sheep fake. Thanks, NBC. Thanks for your excellent news coverage through the years. Now, finally, burping out some skepticism about Joe Biden's latest lies. Just remarkable stuff. Okay. Shall we? All right, chat. Here's the big question. We're obviously live on the podcast right now. For those of you who are not joining me live, I'd encourage you to join this great audience each morning, rumble.com/Vince, to join us at 8 a.m. each morning. Josh just told me we don't have Graham Allen on today. Graham's not coming up next. So that does give me a few more minutes of content if you'd like it. I'm just going to give you a quick poll. Do you want more content or no? It's up to you. More content on the show or no, Chad? Up to you guys. We can push a little bit longer here if you want. CJ Juggernaut says yes. Data Martian is making fun of Biden's brains. Let's see. D-Dale DD is also making fun of Biden's brains. We've got a lot of yeses in the chat suddenly arriving. More. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll only do it if you put American flags in the chat. I need lots of American flags. That's what I need in order to make this work. Let's see. Can we get some American flags in the chat? There's a slight lag when I say this real time and you guys responding, so that's why I have to pause to wait for your response. Okay. All right. America has spoken. I see American flags like crazy. Okay. All right. Let's do it. We've got some more to talk about. Yesterday, I told you I didn't get to this, so now I can get to it. There's a Washington Nationals executive who was captured by James O'Keefe on hidden camera this week. And O'Keefe's operation just released this. And one of my favorite features of the video is that it's hosted by Alex Stein, Primetime. Was it Primetime 99, Alex Stein? You may know him from such hits as telling AOC that she's his favorite big booty Latina. He's hosting this video, and they've got this guy. He's the head of community relations for the Washington Nationals Major League Baseball team. And he admits on camera, thinking he's on some glamorous date. It always happens this way. These like goofy looking dudes, they end up sitting in front of, one of James O'Keefe's like hot operatives, apparently. Like they just spill their guts thinking they're going to get lucky. And then meanwhile, the rest of us just find out how awful some of these operations are. Watch as he explains how he is prejudiced against Christians and how they actually actively work to hurt the professional chances of Christians within their organization. Watch this.
I am on the community relations team, so like corporate social responsibility. And my job is to help our 9 silly men wearing the same costumes score at least one more run than the other 9 silly men wearing costumes of their own. So the best thing I can do for the organization is drive revenue. One of our pitchers, dude, Trevor Williams, he is very Catholic. He has I'm not religious at all. He's super Christian Catholic. All these tattoos that mean a lot. Last year, I don't understand the full scope. The Dodgers had a group out to the stadium who were drag queens who sometimes dressed up as nuns. He went on a social media this is wrong, this is my religion, you all are mocking it. So we don't use him because of that, we don't use him on social. When they're like, is a hot dog a sandwich? And the players come up, you know what I mean? We don't ask him. If you ever come to a Nats game, there is someone on our team who is responsible for figuring out everything about you. We're getting the plethora of your Google history. I would define myself as very far left-wing. There is a Join the Communist Party poster up in my kitchen. When we go to my boss's holiday party, we all talk about how left-leaning we are. I would love to find ways to... Every home run is a $100 donation. That's communism, you know what I mean? That's redistributing someone's wealth. So... I hope we get there. And a lot of people will tell you when I come to a baseball game, I don't want to think about that shit. If you're a sports fan and we piss you off, where else are you going to go? You going to drive past us from Virginia to go to Baltimore? Either way, I don't give a shit.
Somebody called him gay Uncle Fester. Who said that? That's funny. That's pretty funny. Anyway, there he is. There he is. Sean Hudson, the director of community relations for the Washington Nationals. Now, James O'Keefe and company apparently figured out yesterday that this guy has been placed on some sort of leave, but this sounds like they're putting him on like a ride it out kind of leave. When this blows over, it'll be fine. Will it though? Will it be fun? Here's James O'Keefe. Sean Hudson apparently revealed to a different undercover journalist. This guy can't shut his mouth. He revealed to a different undercover journalist that he's officially been placed on leave by the Washington Nationals. This marks the second time that he has now spilled internal secrets to an O'Keefe journalist. Evidently, the Nationals have been, quote, top-notch in terms of support to Hudson. Why are the Nationals supporting the man who discriminates against Catholics? Yeah, great question. Great question. You know, it is it's beyond vile what he just described, that they're literally holding back publicity support for a pitcher who expressed his clearly, sincerely, deeply held faith and said, I disagree with this wholeheartedly. I don't like Major League Baseball being associated with this kind of disgraceful behavior. And how is it disgraceful? You see in the video that O'Keefe put together, you've got these half-naked men using the cross as a stripper pole, dancing all over it, defiling it. And it's offensive, I think, to every single Christian, it should be, who would see an image like that. And in fact, it's kind of a shame that very few people within Major League Baseball were willing to speak up about it. And you get one pitcher from the Washington Nationals who does, and the thanks he gets is to have his career prospects destroyed. It's not a small thing if a stadium decides to memory hole you and just remove you from the consciousness of the fans. Not a small thing at all. In fact, I was talking to my longtime producer, Corey in Ganamort. Great guy. For those of you who don't know, let me see if I've got this. Yeah, let me show you something. Hold up. Let me pull this for you. Hold up. This is, for those of you watching, rumble.com/Vince. This is a Washington Nationals, a bobblehead that I've got here. Let's see. Of Screech the Eagle. Screech the Eagle. Those of you who know baseball or know the Nationals know that this is the mascot for the Washington Nationals. My producer, Corey, who books a lot of our guests we have on the show, he's really great. He was, prior to coming to work with me, he was the mascot for the Nationals. He was Screech for 13 years. That's a long haul. He did 13 years as the mascot there. And he has a World Series ring from, the whole staff gets a World Series ring from when they won the World Series. So if you go back and you look at footage of the World Series and the World Series parade and all that stuff, that's our producer. That's Corey. He's a great American. And Corey is about as conservative as they come. He's hilarious. He would go out on the Potomac each year and fly gigantic flags. Those of you who've been with me for a while will know some of these stories. He'll fly gigantic flags. Like one year we had, when Tom Homan was announced as border czar, he had this huge picture of Tom Homan's face with the pimp sunglasses on, the gangster sunglasses, and it said "Ice, Ice, Baby." And he would drive his boat up and down the Potomac when libs are all lining the shorelines. You know, they would have they'd have like a big 5K or 10K race running along the water, and all these libs would be like flipping off the boat because they're so angry that Corey would be out there. It was awesome. Anyway, so Corey's a great dude. And I was talking to Corey about this. I was like, what is this? What do you think of this? He goes, man, it's a huge deal. Because when a player doesn't get promoted, it hurts their negotiating position. It diminishes their jersey sales. It impacts them economically and their future economic prospects. And then meanwhile, how does the team handle other players? Well, if you're like pro LGBTQIA plus and all this stuff, they'll feature you on the scoreboard and try and sell your jersey in the stadium, turn you into a big character for the team. It's just completely out of control. And Corey's not. I'm sharing this. This is not anything I'm sharing out of school. He's been very public about this. He hates that. He hates that left wing ideology and the destruction of these people that, just for being Christians. It's crazy. It's crazy. But this is the kind of thing that should cause an organization that is doing this to American citizens to suffer. I mean, it's the reality. They treat Trevor Williams like crap for being a good Christian, just for speaking his mind. He didn't do anything offensive. He didn't like hit a child or something. He just said, hey, that offends my faith. Don't do that. I don't want to be a part of that. And I want people to know that I don't endorse that at all. Good for Trevor Williams. That team should be standing up for that player. And they should eject this jackass, this Sean Huston guy, community relations. He failed. If your job is relationships with the community, you failed. Find somebody else who can do that job. And I didn't even really talk about it. They're spying on the fans. Yeah, we take an inventory. When you walk into the stadium, we know everything about you. We've done a full, intel operation on you. So you cool with that, Nats fans? You cool? They're all spying on every aspect of your life? Yeah, they've got some problems on their hands. And I know they've got them on some sort of sweetheart administrative vacation right now. But we'll see. We'll see how long that stands. Now, it's a left-wing city. And maybe enough people don't care. They like this. They love being surveilled. They're into the communist surveillance state. They love attacking Christians. Maybe that's what happens. That could entirely be the way that this story goes. But insofar as people know about this story, thank you to James O'Keefe for covering it. Thank you to the journalists who did this undercover, who captured all of this. Thank you to Primetime 99, Alex Stein, and to take a break from his big booty Latina fascination to share this story. And I just think it's worthwhile. This guy is being suspended right now, so we'll see how long that lasts. And then finally, we'll do a finally here. I want to share some updates for you from a guy. I know Dan Bongino loves this guy's campaign and what he's up to, and that's Spencer Pratt. This fella, Spencer Pratt in Los Angeles, man, he's really been through the literal fire and flames. This guy's house gets burned down. Democrats refuse to get out of the way so he can rebuild it. His entire neighborhood's been burned to the ground. He knows people who were burned to death in all of this. And he is so infuriated by what has happened to his community and to his home that he's just decided, you know what? The only way out of this is I'm running for office. Man, there's nothing like somebody who's motivated by tragedy to try and conquer the forces that caused it in the first place. Here's Spencer Pratt this week in an amazing interview about drugs in Los Angeles. The left loves to play these games that it's like, oh, homelessness, we just have to allow it to fester. The humane thing to do is to allow these people to be subjected to the elements all the time. Spencer Pratt says, no, and it's not even a homeless problem. It's a drug problem, and it's time for everybody to be honest. Listen to this guy speaking, and then as you listen to it, you're going to realize this guy, you know how when you hear somebody speak the truth and you're like, I know it without no one to talk, even if you're not from Los Angeles, you can tell every word that's coming out of his mouth is the truth. You can just tell. Listen, cut 11, watch.
What are your plans for the over 40,000 homeless in Los Angeles?
Yeah, they're not homeless. They're drug addicts. Most of these people are addicted to fentanyl and meth. This isn't Spencer making it up.
Are you saying they don't have homes?
There is places for all of these people to sleep in LA. No matter what anybody tells you, we have housing and shelter for everyone that's living on the street. They're choosing to be on the street because they want to do drugs. They don't want rules. They don't want to listen. They want to have animals to abuse. This idea that they're forced on the street right now is a lie that our city is perpetuating. We've paid $24 billion to house these 40,000 people. There's spots for all of these people. They are choosing because they're an addict, and you can do fentanyl and super meth on the sidewalk with no repercussions. These places are not as, they have to follow some rules. You can't torture a dog in some of these houses. You can't just attack people. You can't just be naked.
Where are you going to move?
Well, I just released a 9-minute video, so you can.
I think I saw your video.
Yeah, so it's very detailed.
But it's going to take time to build the facility and money.
No.
How fast do you think you can do it?
These people can literally. I went to Washington and I saw miles of the most insane prefabricated housing and building. I asked all the CEOs of these companies, say, how long does this take? I met with FEMA and HUD, 3 days. 3 days. And all of this is cheaper than trying to take over, kick senior citizens out of their buildings. Is what happens. They kick them out, and then the NGOs come in and they spend 4 years. This is LA. This is LA's timetable.
Where is this facility going to be?
It's on beautiful federal land property.
Where, in LA County?
Well, when I'm mayor, I'll go meet with the federal government and I'll get the property. Right now, I'm just running, so I can't give you the exact address because I don't have the legal responsibility to go represent Los Angeles and say, can I have this land? But when I'm mayor, I promise you, because we have the Olympics coming and everybody in the government wants LA to be the #1 most beautiful city, they will work with me to give me the land I need.
So you're going to move these 40,000 people somewhere and you're going to have this facility up in, you said how long?
Here's what you got to realize.
90 days?
Let me explain something. These 40,000 people, 60% of them, City Watch just announced this week, are not from Los Angeles. They're not from California. These people have been bussed in by scam rehabs, scam NGOs, scam homeless nonprofits. These people, when I unplug them and say, we're not taking our tax money anymore, they're all going to Seattle where the mayor will welcome them. These are products to a lot of people. So the people that want to keep doing drugs and live on the sidewalk, a lot of these people are going to leave. The other ones, there's a lot of criminals. There's people that are getting naked in front of kids. They're going to jail. The people that are torturing animals, they're going to jail. So not everyone goes in the same box. So we have the money, we have the resources, and we have the facilities.
You got to be blunt. You have to be blunt. There's a message in there for every candidate for public office who wants to do something good for their country and are motivated in the way Spencer Pratt is. Just be blunt. Just lay out exactly the crisis that's before the voters and how you're going to address it. Don't dress up your language. Don't use euphemisms. Don't try and slide into some agreeable language that's designed to impress the reporter you're sitting in front of. Dominate them with the truth. That's what Spencer Pratt is doing. Just saying these are drug addicts. We need to get rid of them. And there's an NGO operation. He kind of started talking about this, and maybe you had the same conclusion I did. But there are operations to import these people. Now, why would you want to import this chaos into Los Angeles? Who would do this? Why would you do this? And the answer to that question, I think, is twofold. One, the more chaos you introduce, Democrats think they can derive more government power out of it, which is why they love chaos. They love chaos. They engineer chaos, and then they act like they're the firefighters responding to the arson. Got it? That's what they use it to secure more power for themselves. The other, and this is super sinister, is they use the homeless population, drug addicts in Los Angeles as a vote rigging scheme. We just had a big Justice Department prosecution of a woman who was going into these drug-addled homeless population areas and getting everybody to sign up to register to vote at her address, to sign petitions as newly registered voters, and then she would pay them like either $1, $2, or a pack of cigarettes. That's how she was handling this in order to get these fraudulent and illegal petitions signed and these votes through. So they've got a full-blown Democrat political operation that's predicated on the use of these drug-addicted vagrants. Spencer Pratt saying, I'm done with that crap. We're getting rid of it. You can't have a functioning city. You can't have functioning businesses if you have that much despair just outside your door. So they're getting rid of all that if Spencer Pratt gets elected. God willing, he gets elected and then he can actually do what he's promising. But man, he sounds so much better than Karen Bass, doesn't he? I love these reporters who keep asking him questions like, what's your experience? What makes you have the experience necessary to do this job? What's my experience? Karen Bass is destroying this city. That's the experience that she has. I'm a guy who's had to endure the garbage that she's produced. So now I'm going to fix it. That's my experience. I like that. There should be more Spencer Pratts out there. You shouldn't have to have tragedy befall you, but there's a lot of it out there. It would be good if more Americans could be motivated to step up like Spencer is. Anyway, he's great. You're great. You know what? This was fun. I got to spend a little bit of extra time with you today. God bless you for being here with me. Thank you to Rumble. For those of you on Rumble, if you're normally Graham Allen consumers at this hour, perhaps you're finding yourself on Rumble's homepage right now and you go, who the hell's this guy, this Vince character? Kind of like him. He's kind of amazing. Thank you for that. You can subscribe to the show. Would you do that for me? It goes a long way. If you subscribe to the show, it makes America better, I promise you. Just ask everybody who's in the chat. American flags in the chat, everybody. We got such a big audience today. Everyone should do that. American flags in the chat. Coming up this morning, if you hang on Rumble, if you're watching us live, rumble.com, you'll see Dan Bongino at 10 a.m. this morning. My buddy Dan. We love Dan. Rumble.com/Bongino. Boy, he gets a lot of American flags in that chat. You can watch Dan each morning, weekday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We've got Haley Karania coming up at noon Eastern on Rumble, rumble.com/Haley. Boy, is she great. Is she not great? In fact, she's so great, she spells her name with 2 Y's. Why? Because she's great. Rumble.com/Haley. You can watch her at noon Eastern. And then I've got the big national radio show each day. If you haven't had enough Vince yet, we've got the big national radio show from 12 to 3 Eastern time each day. We do it live on Rumble, rumble.com/Vince from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern. You can see that there as well. We just have so much to offer here, and we love having you with us in this very active relationship we have on Rumble. I'll be back with you tomorrow for an Epic Friday episode. We have a lot more to get to, I promise. Can't wait to do it. Have a fantastic Thursday.